Ladies and gentlemen, it is I again. That's right, I'm not on camera today because, well, I'm running a little bit late, but I did want to discuss a couple of pieces of news which have popped up. The first is a GTX 1080 Ti in a laptop, of all things, and also Scorpio possibly being unveiled next week. We're going to start out with Nvidia because it's the quickest of the two pieces of news to go through. Now, currently, of course, the 1080 represents the pinnacle of laptop performance. So if we're talking single card solutions, for example, you can by all means pretty easily pick up a 1080 based laptop, and a lot of vendors are selling those. But the Tis aren't really what you'd consider to be conducive with laptops, mostly because of power consumption. However, there has been a reveal on notebook review forums, and apparently Nvidia have released a new SKU on an MXM form factor. Now, from what we can see through the GPU-Z screenshot, it would appear that the Ti has 11GB of GDDR5X memory, a 352-bit bus, and on top of that, it has the traditional 3584 unified shaders, which basically is in line with the desktop derivative, and also a boost clock of 1582. So far, so much Ti. The really impressive thing, however, is the fact that the graphics score in the 3D Mark screenshot they showed was hitting over 33,000, which is much higher than even a regular 1080. The big problem, of course, is that, well, you won't really be able to have two of these running in SLI in a single laptop, simply because power consumption and, the size of the dies, yes, but the power consumption would be a massive issue. The battery would go flat in seconds. And then, of course, you've got to cool them, and it just wouldn't really work. But still, for single card configuration, which, let's face it, single card is certainly a lot easier with games. You don't have to worry about patches and stuff. This is an awful lot of power on the go. Now, let's talk about Project Scorpio, shall we? So, first of all, Jez Croden, is the senior editor over at WindowsCentral.com. He heads up the Xbox part of it, and has revealed some information on Xbox Scorpio. Now, assuming this is not April Fool's, and I don't think it is, it looks like the Project Scorpio is going to be shown off very soon. It's probably before E3, maybe even before next Saturday is what they're saying. Apparently the dev kits have LCD front panels, and the idea behind that is you can actually see the stats in real time. So, in other words, you can see, for example, CPU, GPU utilization, you can do bug fixing, testing, that type of stuff. And also, Scorpio might have Bluetooth support. So, there is no possibility that Scorpio is going to beat the performance that they listed at E3 2016. Now, those specifications were somewhat vague, and that's being pretty, generous. I mean, all they told us is it's got 8 CPU cores, 6 teraflops of performance, and 320GB per second memory bandwidth. The purpose behind that, of course, is it wants to achieve true 4K. And according to Jez, no, this is not going to happen. It is essentially going to be hitting that level of performance. Now, Jez also said that it's not April Fool's, and that's pretty much it. So, according to him, it's not April Fool's, and to his sources, this is accurate. However, on the website itself, on Windows Central, just to clarify, they also have said that Project Scorpio is going to debut with several titles. One of those is Forza Motorsport 7. Now, I want to point something out here. This is not a, upsampling of 4K. This is not checkerboard rendering or anything like that. According to what he's hearing, it is true 4K experiences. And we're going to see several titles running like this, including Forza 7, obviously, Crackdown 3, and State of Decay 2, but also there are other games which are being listed, and these include Battlefront 2, Red Dead Redemption 2, and also Call of Duty, FIFA, and Madden. Now, it doesn't really take a genius to say that, FIFA and Madden, those type of games are going to run in 4K. We could probably assume they will, But the fact that we're going to see games like Star Wars Battlefront 2 running in 4K, that's more impressive to me. And just a short while ago, we did discuss the fact that Scorpio will allow 4K upsampling for games, and also, 4K super sampling for games. So that basically means if you have a 1080p screen, then you can essentially downsample the game, and it will look rather lovely because, well, it basically will get rid of the jaggies. You can think of it as like MSAA on steroids. And a lot of PC users do that as well. So, for example, they might run a game on their 1080p laptop or their 1080p TV or whatever they're running, and they might downsample from, say, 1440p down to like 1080 or 4K down to 1080. But it's not quite as common, to be honest, with PC, because typically if you've got like, you know, two 1080s in SLI, you've probably got a 4K monitor. But still, the fact that Scorpio does do this means that Microsoft are able to push this to folks who have a regular 1080p TV now, and 4K TVs are becoming cheaper. There are a couple of caveats with those cheaper 4Ks. Typically, they don't have necessarily HDR color support, and maybe they've got some inherent latency, or maybe they overprocess images. You know, you're going to have to do your own research on that to figure out which of the cheaper 4Ks is good. But the fact of the matter is, the panel prices are coming down, which is good, because that means the barrier for entry for 4K gaming on consoles is going to become cheaper. And that obviously means, from Microsoft's point of view, this is going to help to differentiate it between, the Scorpio and the PlayStation 4 Pro. Also note that Microsoft are pushing this as a true 4K system because also 4K game DVR and streaming. Plus the fact that they've almost confirmed at this point that Blu-ray is also going to be there for 4K, which, to be honest, was one thing that I really didn't like Sony didn't add in to the PS4 Pro. Honestly, I'm not here to, say that 4K gaming Nirvana is the best, because ultimately quality of pixels means something as well. And I don't mean this in a harsh way, but if I took Quake 1 and played it at 4K, is it going to look better than, let's say, the latest Doom on the Xbox One? Well, no, because obviously you've got things such as improved lighting, better textures, just much higher levels of geometry. You've got basically all the modern graphics in there, so graphics settings do matter as well. So it's going to be like, okay, well, Scorpio looks impressive on paper because of 4K, but how is the GPU going to be able to handle these special effects? Because, well, obviously it's not just a case of, the GPU runs at 6 teraflops versus 1.31. We do know that the GPU inside the Scorpio has some major changes from what we're hearing. We can assume it's at least as advanced as the PlayStation 4 Pro GPU, which has a lot of Polaris and some Vega stuff in there. So we're going to have to wait and see. Do remember one last thing. The GPU has to do about 4 times the amount of work to process, or at least there's 4 times the number of pixels on screen with 4K compared to 1080p. So that is an awful lot of work for the GPU to handle. Ultimately, we're just going to have to wait and see. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.